So I've spent most of my life growing up in Phoenix, and while I'm not a meteorologist, I can tell you it's been getting hotter. With some inspiration from a youth climate activist, I connected a few dots to things that I had done in my past and thought, what about a giving day for the environment? Greetings, everyone. I'm really glad that you're here joining us for the first Earth Gives webinar. I'm Rhonda Bannard, the founder and executive director of Earth Gives. And it's the direct result of asking that question, what about a giving day for the environment? Because when I did the research and found that only 2% of all philanthropy went to the work that you did and 0.5% for climate justice, I thought something needed to be done. So here we are, an effort to get beyond any simple action and ask for the investment worthy and equal to the challenge that we face. One key reason for why giving to environmental causes is so low was just reaffirmed and reinforced by the Yale program on climate communications. They just did a study on media coverage over the last 40 years, and they found that only 0.55% of media coverage in the last 4 decades included climate change. And it remains concentrated in environmental reporting with very little connection to the real life issues that we face and that you know it's connected to, like health, inequality, food, water, and other issues. So we hope to build a platform and a united voice with you to make those connections clear to people to invite investment. So we're starting with a Giving Day platform to work from a one-stop shop offering the opportunity to give donations, to sign up for volunteer events, for idea sharing events, and so much more that you're going to learn about today. And while today are the basics, there's a lot of tools and tricks and tips that you're going to learn about that this amazing platform provides for you. And Ashley is here with Mighty Cause to give that presentation so you can see up close and personal how this platform can work and get you ready for the September 14th kickoff for Earth Gives. So now I get to throw it and pass it off to Ashley.
And thank you for that, Rhonda. It is definitely good to be with you all today, and also for anyone who gets to tune in later to check out the recording. What we're going to start with is your general organization profile page, and then we're going to take a look at how we can sort of dive deeper into some of the different tools so that you can engage not just your donors, but you can also start to bring in the other fundraisers and other people who want to support you. It might not be specifically through a donation, but we want to open up those opportunities. So I will be shifting my attention to my other screen, so you'll see my profile a little bit. But what you should see is the Black Cat Society organization profile page. This is going to look the same for all of you. The structure of the pages is the same. It's the content that you get to customize. So to begin, most of you, if you've registered, you have seen your page. There's a lot that you can do. There's the About section as we get further down, giving activity, other information along the way, including matches and opportunities for people to get involved with your nonprofit. And then at the very bottom is just that standard organization data. For those of you who do not yet have administrator status for your organization profile page, the way to get that, the easiest, fastest way is going to be to register for Earth Gives. So to do that, when you head to the Earth Gives page, there's a couple of ways you can register from the toolbar at the top, or you can click register now. When you submit the registration form, then that submits your request to be an administrator for that organization page. So with that, this is where most of your donors are going to come during Earth Gives. They're going to click that donate button. That's how they're going to submit the donation. But looking for the year-round, what else can we do on the platform? there's a couple of things. We're going to start with and we're going to start kind of small and work our way up. So that general idea of an individual fundraiser, a lot of people think GoFundMe or a birthday fundraiser, things of that nature. We have those pages that anyone can create supporting your nonprofit. It's a pretty straightforward page, pretty simple, not only to create, but also for the donors who would be viewing the page. It's a simple, hey, I'm supporting this nonprofit. Will you join me? Pretty obvious donation button, the opportunity for goals, that type of thing. The next step up to that is if you wanted to gather a number of fundraisers together, you could create a team page. And within that team page, we have our leaderboard for the friendly competition where you're able to gauge how much are the individual fundraisers raising, but then all of that money pools together within the team page to meet that team goal. And of course, we have the opportunity for matches, or if you wanted to add more to your page about what you're fundraising for and why. So that's there not only for outside groups that want to get together, but if you have an initiative going on, if you have maybe different local offices in different areas around the nation, they could have their own team page. So this is a way of bringing those fundraisers together. And then we take it a step up and we have what we reference as, let's scroll on back up to a little bit, what we reference as our event giving page, where we're bringing together now, we're bringing multiple teams together and bringing all of those fundraisers together. So it's a little bit of a step up option when it comes to how do we do some of that peer-to-peer fundraising, but also how do we kind of customize something for a particular initiative, or if you do, like we said, if you have chapters around the nation or globally, we can utilize these pages in a variety of ways so that there's essentially this tiny little website that's out there for these different giving opportunities. So then you'll notice that a number of these pages, as they sort of fold into each other, they're all going to fold back into your organization profile page. So what that means, all of that giving data, all of the information is going to be filtering back to you as the nonprofit. It's not just your donor data, but it's also your volunteer information, it's your fundraiser information. All of that's filtering back to your organization profile page where you have that access as the admin. We are going to take a look. I'm going to introduce this and then we'll touch on it later on. We also have the opportunity through Earth Gives for what we reference as group giving pages. So this is something we're going to touch on later on, but it is also a feature of bringing together people in the community who are not the nonprofit, but they could be the business, they could be the sponsor, it could be another group that's just not in particular a nonprofit 501c3, and they can band together, they can create their group giving page where they're supporting Earth Gives and what's going on there. And through those group giving pages, they can then be supporting all of the nonprofits through Earth Gives. So there's a number of different ways that we can be engaging the community. We'll touch on this part at the end. But we'll go back. We're going to start now just working through your dashboard that's going to be found on the left-hand side of your organization profile page. We're actually going to start at the bottom with a little bit of housekeeping. Within the settings tab, the main pieces that you want to take a look at are going to be your admins. So if you're someone who has, your nonprofit, I should say, has a number of people in the office, you're rather large, different people need access to different bits of information, then you can add multiple admins to your page. You can also list out different roles. So if someone does not need access to your donor data, you can select that type of role for your admin. If they need access to everything, then you can select that for them as well. So making sure that your admins are set up and ready to go is important. You can always remove admins and add new ones at any time. But I would suggest one of your first pieces, come on in, take a look and see who needs access, who doesn't. So that's the first piece. The next is going to be your organization info page. Here is where you're going to update any of your legal information. So as things change, because Earth Gives is going to be here for a while. So if your address changes, or if you have a public address, but then let's say you have a legal mailing address and that has changed, you can update that information here. For some, your IRS name might change. That's okay. You come in, we take the documentation so that everything is always up to par. So that's a piece. Just kind of come on in, take a quick look, make sure everything is up to date. Do that from time to time, every 6 months or so, but that's an important piece as well. The last thing I'll mention in the settings, this is going to be the disbursement settings. So most of you, EFT, that direct deposit is going to be the fastest, easiest way to receive your donations. So you can set that up here under switch to direct payment. So that's one option. If you don't want to do EFT, if that's not on your radar or how you want to do things, totally fine. Then what we do is we send a check to the legal mailing address that's on file with the IRS. Again, if that needs to be updated, you'll definitely want to come on in here and make that change. Quick little note, there is a $5 processing fee for check disbursements. They're once a month, and the EFT disbursements are twice a month. Details can be found in the customer support articles. But this is also an important piece. You get it set up at the beginning and then you kind of cruise. So that's the main things in the settings tab. Moving to the next are integrations. We integrate with a number of nonprofits that we do, but a number of applications. So we have a few direct integrations. You can use Zapier to integrate with literally hundreds of others. So take a look there. Not a whole lot for us to dive into today, but take a look there if anything kind of jumps out at you as a way you can integrate your applications. Now we're actually going to skip up ahead a little bit to our contacts. The contacts feature that we provide is meant to be a CRM to the small nonprofit, maybe the medium nonprofit that's kind of moving up and getting larger that doesn't already have a system. Our CRM is mainly going to be using all of the data that's brought in through the Earth Gives platform. So if you already have a CRM set up, ready to go, by all means, keep using what you have. If you're kind of in between and you're using some spreadsheets for this and you kind of have constant contact over here and you're sort of using QuickBooks, but you haven't really for like 6 months, then this might be something that's helpful as far as bringing all of your data together. You can import information, get it all in one place, and then use this as your CRM. But for others of you who already have a CRM situation set up and you feel comfortable, then what I would recommend is knowing that within the contacts, any interaction someone has had on the Earth Gives platform is going to be here. So if they've created a fundraiser page, if they've made a donation, if they're an offline donation, all of that information is going to be here. Each of those people will have a profile created that you can view that information. But the main thing will be you can export all of this. So go ahead and export, use it the way that your nonprofit needs to use it best. And that'll be unique to all of you. So that's our contacts feature. If you do want to dive in more, we have some support articles and our support team is happy to help with that. The fundraising tools, this is where we're going to get to all of those pages we were looking at, the teams and fundraisers and all of that. The main thing to know here is all of that information is found within your campaign's reporting. So anything that you need to know to be able to follow up with your fundraisers, all of that is here. Not only can it be downloaded, which you can see up at the top, but you can filter through. I just want to look at my fundraisers, that type of thing. I'm searching for a particular fundraiser. So you can filter and then you can download. So diving into those pages a little bit more, we'll actually start kind of in the reverse. We're going to start with that event page. Right now I have edit mode turned off and I have the dashboard hidden. So just like your organization profile page, you'll have your dashboard on the left. You can edit and edit when you toggle out of edit mode. That's when you're able to see what the public will see. So while you're in edit mode, you'll notice all of your edit icons appear again. The idea is that the structure of the page is standard, but you're able to customize with not only your own brand coloring, things like that, but even images, the background image, something from your nonprofit. your logo or an image up at the very top. What you want to use this page for is engaging your donors and bringing in multiple other people to fundraise with you. Or you get creative and you use the page however you need to. Some nonprofits will use an event page because they like the breakdown with where the metrics are at the top. They have no fundraisers or teams. So this whole section disappears and you jump right into the body of the page. What are we fundraising for? What are our goals? What's our history? All of that information. You can add videos, you can add images, just like your organization profile page. And this allows you to highlight a particular campaign. Maybe there's a new initiative that's coming up. You can highlight that information here. You also have the opportunity, the page never ends. So you can create as many pages as you want and you can have it go on forever. So if there are things that you want to make sure this portion of our budget always has a place for donations, create an event page for that. You don't need teams, you don't need fundraisers, but what you do have is you have a direct URL that you're able to hyperlink, make it into a button, and house all that information. And the fun part of that is then when we get to our dashboard, we're able to see in your reporting for your event, you can filter for any reporting, doesn't matter the year, you can download. You have all of that donor information for that initiative in one place. What you also have, if you do want to use teams and fundraisers for a campaign, you also have the campaigns report, just like you have on the organization profile page for this particular event. So if it's an annual event, then you know year over year who you're going to be reaching out to. You're going to download their information. This is just a quick snapshot. When you download their information, you're going to have their email address, not only who they are, a lot of information about their page, so that now you're able to steward those fundraisers for next year's event. Maybe you have something in the fall, you have something in the spring, but now you have that information not only for your donors, but also for your fundraisers. Another slight piece here, if you do want to have a registration part to an event, we do partner with Eventbrite for that. So if you're having an event and you need everybody to register, if it's, let's say there's a meal involved, then you can do that through Eventbrite. Sort of the last little like high level piece that we want to mention when it comes to your event pages, goals and the time frames, whether there's an end date, start date, all of that is in your hands as the administrator for your organization profile page. No matter who creates the event page, you have control. So you can always come in, you can always update as you need to. It's essentially like a living, breathing website. So feel free to come in and customize, use it as you need. As people are visiting your page, so anyone from the outside, as long as they have the link, they're able to find it here. It also is going to show in the Earth Gives search, so there's going to be visibility there. If at any point you need to hide that information, you're going to come on into your settings tab. You're going to scroll down. You can hide it and you can turn off the donations. So all of this is totally in your control. So moving a step down, so to speak, from that, it's going to be the teams page. So you'll notice we have the two leaderboards on the event page. Just clicking on the team name is going to bring up that team page. So this is also a piece, it can be tied into an event or it can be its standalone page. If you have no fundraisers, then the leaderboard is going to disappear. If you do have fundraisers, they will all be listed here. They don't have to be listed in the amount raised. There's a number of options that you can have them listed just in alphabetical order by name, number of donations, number of donors. So there's ways to say, what are we really going after here? If we're going after community engagement and we're looking for recurring donations and we really want to beef up our monthly donations, you could create a team page specifically for monthly donations where that's what you're encouraging. So in your story section, actually, let me go on into where you would add your story section here. Hang on, let me scroll down. So in your story section, you're explaining, hey, we're really going after our recurring event, or excuse me, our recurring donations. You have that in there. And then you know that everything is happening for this team page is recurring donations. So that might be what you're really pushing for here. If you want to have a leaderboard, great. If you don't, no problem. So you can, again, just like the event page, use it for what you need. This is also a really great page if you do have offices or chapters around the nation, around the globe. This is a great place to bring people together so that that office has their own page and they have their leaderboard. If we go into settings and we go a little further down, we'll see that we can add team admins. It's just like having administrators on the organization profile page, but you're going to have it for the team page. So if your main office is in Phoenix, but you also have an office in Chicago, perfect, because now Chicago has their team page and they're able to fundraise. They're able to have people join in with their fundraisers who are out in the community, and all of that money pooling together. We're going to see in the goal, or you don't even have to have a goal. You can just have the number of donations raised, and now we're following what Chicago is doing. So they have their own, yes, they're part of you, but now they have their own identity where their donors feel like, hey, yeah, this is my group, not just the nationwide, but this is my group. So it can be helpful. It can be used in a lot of different ways. Just like the event page, you have your dashboard with your campaigns, with your reporting, all of that is there. Another fun fact, whether you're on the team page, individual fundraiser page, if you have a matching grant, you can add that in. So if Chicago has a matching grant, but Phoenix doesn't, Chicago doesn't have to share that with everybody. They can say, hey, this is our matching grant. Or if there's a matching grant specifically for recurring donations, then you add it just to this individual team page versus having to be maybe on the organization profile page. So a lot you can do with these pages. And then tying that down, one more step is that individual fundraiser page. This is great for some of those shorter campaigns that you have that you do want to highlight. It's not just the average part of fundraising. It is something in particular so that you as a nonprofit can use this page. Again, you can add to the story section. You have your Furwala where you can add your images, your videos. All of that is there. All of that customizing is there. We have our shout out to our donors as they're coming in. But what you also have is everything is just essentially just for this one page with your donations reporting, all of that. Any donation that comes through there on your organization donations report, it's highlighted as being to this fundraiser page. So you, again, everything is segmented for you. But also, if you do want this to be going on forever, you don't list a duration. So if on your website for your nonprofit, if you have a number of different categories that you're raising funds for, different programs, you can have a program set up. Each program has its own fundraiser page that explains what the program is, how the funds are used, anything that you want to share, so that now what you can do is embed a button or even a small little checkout flow into your website. And you could have 4 different categories. Each category has a fundraiser page. You plug that button in, and straight from your website, someone says, yep, that's the category that I want to support. They click the donate button and they're taken right to the checkout flow for this particular fundraiser page. So there's a lot of ways to implement this, not just for peer-to-peer, but for your organization, different ways to use this. At the same time, it's fabulous for peer-to-peer. And what that looks like on your organization profile page is if we come back and we take a look, you'll notice you have that donate button, but then right next to it, you have fundraise. So with the fundraise button, here's where people are going to create that individual fundraiser page, and they'll walk through the process. The way that you make that easier for those individual fundraisers is with the fundraiser template. So we're going to go back into our fundraising tools. Now we have our campaigns here. So this is everybody who's created the page. but we want to customize a fundraiser template that's going to make it easier for anyone who's interested in fundraising. Hang on. We're not going to create one. We're going to step back. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you differently. So within the templates, you can create multiple templates. The star selects which one is live for the moment. And we're going to go on in to edit this template to see what this will look like. You can add in the information that you want for your fundraisers to automatically displayed. You don't have to add a fundraising goal. We could leave that up to the fundraiser. Or if you know that you have a particular campaign going on, let's say for Earth Gives, and you want everyone to strive for at least $500, go ahead and plug in the fundraising goal. They can always edit it. They can always up their goal. They can lower their goal too, but that's not what we want them to do. So the admin note, that's just for you on the internal side. Every other piece correlates to that fundraiser page. As you add in that information for them and you update or create the template, what that's going to do is it's going to give them the shell that they're working for. For the person who is not tech savvy, who says, I am happy to do this, but what do you mean create a web page? What you're going to do is you're going to create it for them. And then all they have to do is publish it and share the URL. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to make any customizations. So you're taking care of this for them. They say, okay, fine. They click the fundraise button and now they're off and running, expanding your donor pool because they know people you don't know. So this is a great way to bring in that peer-to-peer fundraising. And as we look at those campaigns, we do have a safeguard because there are people out there who create content and we think, that is not what we were going for. They maybe use your template, but then they stray to the side a little bit. So what we have for that is what we call add a process. When the process is turned on, this is a campaign review for you. So you're able to see any and all fundraiser pages that are created on your behalf, and you're able to review those before they go live to the public. So this gives you that double check to make sure, yes, we want this person fundraising for us. Yes, the content on the page is what we're going for. So that way, too, that person who's trying to fundraise for you, they also know, oh, okay, the nonprofit knows what I'm doing. So if they're an unsavory actor, you have this control. But also, it's a reminder to your fundraisers, hey, we're the nonprofit, reach out to us if you have questions. So it's kind of goes both ways. What that will look like, I don't have an illustration for you at this second, but where this says status published, instead of published, you'll have a button that says approved. So you have full control of all of that. So that's your campaigns in a nutshell. Moving down from that, quick reminder with embeds. The embeds are the opportunity to add the individual donate button that would take someone. Now, in this case, someone clicks this button, it's going to take that person directly to the checkout flow for your donation, or excuse me, your organization profile page, not a campaign page, your profile page. You can also add in, and I'll show you what this looks like. It's just a simple mini donation form. You can add donation suggestion amounts and descriptions, but there's not a whole lot here. If you want people to do dedications, things like that, that's not available. It's just a little mini form. For example, I select how much I want to give, and then I start adding my payment information. But what you can also embed into your website is a full form. Hang on, let's scroll down and take a look. That full checkout flow is the whole thing. So people don't even have to leave your website. You can embed this in if you want to, if you need a checkout flow. Mighty Cause does all of the processing through Earth Gives. So we do the receipting, we do all of that for you, and no one ever has to leave your website. They go right through the checkout flow on your website. We take care of all of the reporting. You can customize this if you need to, if you need to add customized questions, if you want to add different suggestion amounts or different descriptions, you have control of all of that, and it's right in your website. What you also have control over is adding a thank you message. So as soon as that donation is submitted, essentially it's that donation confirmation page, but you're adding your own thank you message to that. add a video, add images. You can also add a link to take them to the next page you want them to go to. So that page is here for you, even if they've donated on your organization website. The last piece to that, within the donation receipting, there's the general legal receipt that we'll have for you, but you can add a custom message to the top of that receipt as well. So again, we're trying to steward our donors from the moment they make that donation, they get a thank you message from you, and then they get the receipt from you that also has, they get the receipt from us, but it has your messaging. What that will look like, we're going to jump down to the checkout flow. So I want to explain two different things. We have that same donation form here, and then we have that same thank you page here, which, quick little side note, you can view what that will look like by clicking this button. And you also have this donation receipting. Why do we have that in two places? So this checkout flow, this tab on the dashboard, this is correlated directly to your donate button here on your organization profile page. So most of your donors through Earth Gives, if they're coming to the organization profile page, particularly if they're on the Earth Gives website and they use this search button and they search for your nonprofit, they're going to end up here and they're going to click this donate button, which is exactly what we want them to do. In that case, you want this checkout flow thank you message donation receipt. So that's where this comes into play. If you're embedding something into your website, that's where you're going to be using this thank you message and this donation receipt. So that's why there's those two options there. So I just want to make sure that when you're seeing two different things, you know why. So that's embedding your forms. The next piece we're going to skip, we're going to come back to matching grants, and we're going to go to automated emails. This is something that's super helpful for, again, stewarding the donor, and it takes another piece off of your plate. So the automated email is for the online donations that come through the Earth Gives platform. And the first would be that welcome message. So if we were to enable this, then you're going to edit your content. And this isn't the donation receipt. This is a different email that's coming from you to them saying how grateful you are that they chose to get involved with your nonprofit. So it's that first stewarding piece that you don't have to worry about, especially when it's giving day or early giving time frame and there's enough going on in the fall. So this takes care of that first email for you. It's automated. In line with that is a yearly reminder. So a lot of our donors, they'll donate, particularly when there's a giving event going on, and we want them to donate again in a year. We want to remind them to do that. But it's a lot balancing that, especially if you're using Earth Gives year round and you have some different campaigns going on at different times. We want to remind our donors, hey, support us again this year. We want that outreach, but it can be a lot to remember who's who and where's where. So with the automated email, if the donor does not donate within the 365, then an automated email will be sent to the donor essentially saying, hey, we're here again. Would you like to donate? But with that, when it's enabled, you can edit your content. So yes, we have some templates for you, but this is where you're able to engage the donor to remind them, hey, we're still here and we're still excited about what's going on. And you can edit this at any time. So if you've had a shift in something that you've been working on, or if you want to circle back and say, hey, this is what we've been doing, this gives you that chance for it's automated. And at that year mark, your donors are going to be reminded to donate. But let's say they donated in the spring and then they donated for Earth Gives. We're not going to send them that yearly reminder in the spring because they've donated. So this is only going to go to those donors who are at that year mark, and we want to retain them. We don't want to lose them. So this is a super helpful tool for that. And the last, which happens to be the first on the list, but the last that I'll mention is the peer-to-peer creation message. So we do want to follow up with those fundraisers as soon as they've created a fundraiser page. But also, you have a lot going on. So this is that first outreach that gives them their next steps. It could be the piece that reminds them, hey, not only did you create the page, but Is it published? Did you check your thank you messaging? So things of that nature, or it's a reminder to say, hey, don't forget to post this on social media. So whatever you want this content to be, you can do that without having to send each individual email from your email address. So there's a lot that goes on in these. I would definitely say take a look, take a minute, get them set up if you can early on in the process so you can get them set up and kind of forget about them until a few months in and you come back and refresh. Text to Give is a great tool that is for your nonprofit. What you would do, what you'll have control over, you can use anytime throughout the year, is creating a keyword. That keyword can be tied to either the organization profile page, which would be the organization page here, or to a specific campaign page. So if you have that event that is created and it's going on forever, you can have a keyword specifically for that one event, that one initiative. The way this works is not outbound, it's all inbound. What do I mean by that? Your donors are going to text the keyword to our 844 number. When they text that keyword, if it's attached to the organization profile page, they're going to immediately receive a link that takes them to the checkout flow of your organization profile page. If it's a keyword that's connected to a particular campaign page, the link they receive is the checkout flow for that campaign. So they bypass the fundraiser page, they bypass the profile page. They're not seeing any of that created content. They're going right to the checkout flow to keep them moving on. What you'll see is the number of texts that are sent per keyword, how much is raised per keyword. But further down in the donation report, because there's sometimes people send the text and they never get around to making the donation. So we want to see in the donation report who actually made the donation. You're going to get their phone number. We don't send anything out to them. We don't do the email via text message. It's just the link. And the only other time we'll text them is roughly 23, 22 hours later. We send another, if they have not submitted the donation, we'll send another link and just a helpful, hey, did you forget to finish or did you want to finish your donation? At most, they'll only receive 2 automated emails from us. If they submit the donation, they only will receive the first one. And that information is all here for you to track. All of these donations that come in through a text are also going to be in your donations report, and you'll be able to see how they came to you. Was it through a text? Was it through a desktop? Was it through a mobile device? All of that information will be there for you. Something to note with these, what we have found that works best is when you, the nonprofit, uses them either in an in-person event, during an in-person event, or something like if you're on the radio and you're saying, hey, these are the multiple ways to donate to us. Text this word to this number, it'll take you to the checkout flow. The reason I say in-person events, oftentimes if somebody's already on the internet, if they're on their phone, they're on their tablet, their desktop, they're already looking at your web page, or it's easier to click the link in the email and go right to your website, to the profile page, click the donate button wherever it is. But we don't want them saying in an email, oh, now I got to text a number so I can get the link so I can make the donation. So usually what we want to do in those in-person events is when you have on the big screen, text keyword to this number. And a lot of times it'll be, hey, either text whatever you want or donate whatever you want, or everybody donate $5. Everybody donate, make your contribution of 25. Let's see how we do. So there's different ways to leverage that. So it does typically work better in an in-person environment. But that said, every time you're able to show your donors you have multiple ways of donating, it shows they're engaged and they are looking to mobilize every opportunity. So I recommend if you are doing, whether it's in person or something that's online, let's say you're sending out an email, go ahead and list, hey, text to give, list if there's different websites that they can go to, your website, the Earth Gives site, give them those options. It shows, hey, it's there. I wouldn't expect too much from an email, but go ahead and list it. But really you want to utilize it in the in-person events or things like a radio campaign, that type of deal. Last quick note with the text to give, with when you're looking at your keywords, it's one keyword for like everybody who uses Mighty Cause. So you'll need to be a little bit creative, but also as you're doing your keywords, you want to just make it something that makes sense for your campaign. So it's a great tool. Get creative, and there's going to be times you use it a lot, other times not so much. But it's here for you when you need it. We're going to look at opportunities. This is another way to engage with people outside of the donation realm. And before we take a look at what all of this looks like in the opportunities report, we're going to jump back to the organization page and we're going to take a look at what this looks like to the people in your community. So I'm going to go ahead actually and close everything down. Someone's looking at your page, they're going through, they see who you are and what you're doing. And then we get down to, we have our matches first, and then we get involved. So the get involved piece is where we want people to know we're doing more than just fundraising, but also it doesn't have to be a volunteer piece and it doesn't have to be in person. It could be online. It could be all kinds of different things. So in this case, we have a calendar event, and this is going to be for our dog yoga that goes on every Saturday in the park. So you have your information here. You get to decide how much information is included, where it's located, if you need to add phone number, something like that, who do you contact? All of that you can have here. If you need people to register, that's an option as well when someone registers. Now it can go to who do you use for your registration and what works best for you. So it does take them outside of Mighty Cause, but you have that. I'm sorry, it's not anybody that you use. It would be through Eventbrite, but it's not going to be through Mighty Cause. So, but now it's what is any of that registration information that you need? Is there a fee involved? Is it just a registration form? So you have all of that here. The other piece that you have is if you want people to be able to donate, not donate, excuse me, to volunteer, things of that nature, you can list those as well, where not only is it, hey, we want you to show up, but now maybe we have some requirements for you. We have some conditions. You can also have a release form attached if you need. So we're having all of that here on the organization profile page, primarily so that when people are participating in Earth Gives, and their mindset is in the Earth Gives set, and they're focusing now on who's in my community that I'm supporting. They're being reminded this isn't just make a donation and then move on, because taking care of the environment or getting engaged has to be year long. And so now we're giving them that opportunity. We're reminding them of it, but we're also giving them that opportunity. The great piece with this as well is it can be online. So for those of you who are global or who are nationwide or looking to expand, you can also have online opportunities that draw people in. So it doesn't matter if you're in South Florida or if you're in Washington State, you can all be joining together. And these are ways that you're going to present that to your supporters in your community. So I'm going to scroll on back to the top. And when we look at that opportunities report, you can create that opportunity. You can always edit and things like that. You can always close out an opportunity. It's pretty straightforward as you work through the form. All the different information that you can add at the very bottom is where you can attach different files and things like that. So I would say take a peek at this. It might be something that you sort of ease into. The first thing that you want to do is get your organization page ready to go. But I would say even create a couple of test opportunities. Come on back to the top. So whether it's going to be in person or online, whether it's a volunteer opportunity or just a calendar event for anyone to join, come on in, take a look, and test out a couple of things. Last quick item here. You'll notice pretty much all of your reporting, you come to the right side and you have 3 dots. So click that vertical ellipsis and you're going to have more information that you can see. You can see who's participating in this event that we have going on. You can view your own details for it. Okay, is there something I need to change? So it's that quick view. So that information is all there for you. And if the opportunity is over, this is where you're going to be managing all of your opportunities. So this is a great piece and definitely an exciting part of engaging everyone in your community. So we're going to jump back up to those matching grants. Matching grants are a perfect way to further any fundraising endeavor. They also take a little bit of customizing and understanding as you go through. So the initial reporting, again, like all of the reporting, it's just the super high level view. So you're going to see what matches are live, who's upcoming, and what matches have been completed. A couple of different ways to complete a match. It expires time-wise, or it's fulfilled, which is our favorite, or for whatever the reason you say, you know what, I got to come on in, I got to close this match. So there's different ways to manage your matches. You can create a match here. I'm going to click edit just so you can see it filled out a little bit. You can add an image if you want to. My recommendation with this would be check out our support article because it's going to walk you through all of these different options that we have. So there's a lot that goes on when it comes to matches. So we won't get into the weeds here, but check out that support article. And if you have questions, again, reach out to our customer support team. They can help walk you through, well, how do I get a match to start as soon as one finishes and that type of a thing. It's a lot of it's in the support article, but you're unique. So feel free to reach out to our customer support team as you need. There's a lot within our fundraising tools, but there's a lot to do on the platform. So jumping down, last piece is going to be the reporting. Within that donations report, again, just the reminder, and we're going to jump to the last 12 months. You can always filter, and when you download, you're going to get so much more information than what's right here. So you're going to be able to see, again, how they donated. Was it on a mobile device? You're going to see not only when they donated, but you'll also be able to see, did it come from a shared link? Was it from an email, the shared link type of thing? Or was it from an embed that's in on your website? So there's a lot of information that you're going to be able to glean from that downloaded report, including if they paid, for example, with credit card and they added their totally blanking their payment address, that type of information, that's going to be there. So if you do want to send out the thank you notes and you want to mail those, you have their address there. If you want to do your emails, you have their email address. So stewarding your donors is going to really flow from, and the foundation is going to be that downloaded report. You can also add offline donations. Not every donation is going to come through the platform. So if you have that large donation or small donation, go ahead and add that in. If you have not a million, well, it would be great if you did, but if you have a ton of offline donations and you don't want to enter in 50 offline donations one by one, we don't want you to either. We have an import option for that. So I would say download, click around, see what's here, but also check out the support articles for all of the extra information. You'll notice we have recurring donations here. You can also view recurring donations, offline donations, all of that you can view here as well. So it's a matter of filtering. So if we, for example, if we select offline donations here, it's the same looking report. It's just focusing on your offline donors. So there's a little bit of a breakdown there. We also have a disbursements report. So it's a demo site, so there's no actual disbursements here, but as those disbursements start piling up, and you need to go back 3 months and say, wait, which donation was part of this disbursement? All of that will be found here. You also will receive, when a disbursement goes out, you'll receive a notification email that explains links and has all of that information in it as well. And the retention report, which is last great, yay, you can start to compare either year over year or a time frame from last year to a time frame from this year of which donors you've retained. So for example, if we do a custom date range from January of last year to June, same time this year, we've retained 2 donors. So you can play around with this. You can also download, because everything's downloadable. Check out the support article for this, and then this is probably going to be something more next year you'll start to really dive into. But this is going to help you figure out, who do we need to be reaching out to? Do we need to segment a certain group of donors that we're not holding on to? We retain those okay, but we're not retaining these. So this will let you dive into that information a little bit deeper. So with all of that said, that's our platform. And would love to answer any questions that you all have. The profile page, all of that, so much is customizable. I think most of you have already dove into that and made major changes. But any questions that you have? And Rhonda, is there anything that you need me to touch base on or highlight?
Well, a couple thoughts. First of all, I know that's a fire hose. That's why we'll have this recording. Ashley knows her stuff, and it's overwhelming how many tools that you have at your fingertips. One of the things that I wanted to encourage and what I think is the ethos of Earth Gives, and that is that this is a community of environmental organizations and people who believe passionately about the planet. So the hope is that you drive them towards the platform because we don't want them to just give to one. We want to have them explore and invest in other organizations. Not to mention, I believe we have a Green Them All fund at checkout. So
Mhm.
anyone who gives into that fund that gets shared with participating and active organizations. And yeah, so we want them to fill their shopping cart, so to speak, robustly
Yes.
with your organization as well as hopefully others. And we want that kind of messaging to populate during the campaign as well. But let's let people ask questions because you touched on so much.
I'm going to interject real quick as people get their questions together. And I meant to show you this on the thank you messaging. So there is a button at the bottom of the thank you message where you can, it's the call to action button. So it defaults to going back to your profile page, but you can add text that says check out social media, check out Earth Gives. You can add whatever text you want to add to create that button. And then you can add, I'm not too sure why it's so far down on my page. I'm not scrolling up, but you can add then a URL to that button. So that's a great time to be able to direct your donors back to Earth Gives and remind them that, just like Rhonda said, there's so much more going on. And their little plug, if you haven't taken a look at the different tabs at the top, there is just a plethora of information that not just for your donors, fundraisers, whoever, you can learn from.
Thank you. Questions, thoughts, comments? Anyone can just speak up. Okay. Go ahead, Lori.
Okay, so yes, this is definitely a fire hose. It's like, oh my gosh. I can't tell you how much work this looks like once we get it set up is going to take off my plate. Like, did I hear correctly? I mean, it just seems too miraculous. So, through your platform, we could set up recurring donations and then our donors, and it can just go on forever as long as we keep with your platform.
Yes.
And what is it? Is it just the cost, the normal cost of doing Earth Gives each year?
Hmm. Yep. So as long as you're on the
Well,
platform.
I think what she's asking are like, what are the fees taken out? So yes, we
Yeah,
charge a registration, for our
yeah,
side. We don't take any of the donation money. Okay,
yeah,
so Earth
yeah,
Gives
yeah.
is not taking any money, but we do ask for registration, which is either $50 up to
Uh,
$200 for organizations 5 million and over. So very nominal, and you get a lot for that. But there are fees at checkout from the platform. So it depends on how people are paying, and there's a variety of ways people can pay. And so let Ashley answer that.
So
wow.
what they'll see is, for example, if I'm going to do my $75, and this will depend somewhat on if you add any questions to your checkout flow, that kind of thing. So they've selected how much, they're not going to do a dedication, that kind of thing. We're going to move on over into checkout, and then I can either choose to cover those fees as the donor if I would like to. And then in this case, we have Help All Nonprofits today. This is going to be the Green Them All that donors can select to participate with. So let's say that we're gonna go ahead and do the 550. So as we scroll down, now it's gonna show us this is what your payment is gonna be. So
Mhm.
within the fees, and Rhonda, I am full disclosure, I've been with a ton of different giving events. I am blanking on your fees. I know 2.9 plus 30 cents is the credit card fee and I just don't want to say it wrong on a recording, 3% or 4% on the platform fee. But I have to go back and check.
Yeah. They're all in the FAQs
Yeah.
on the under for nonprofits. So yeah, to process, they have a foundation, they ship you off the donations, all of that. So there's a modest fee.
I'm just thinking of how much it costs to have someone who was in the office who's trying to do this. Like we have an office, we don't have an office, but and all the we don't even have an office. This is a big value for your dollar.
Good. We like to think so, but I'm glad. I'm glad that that'll lift that off. And then in the receipting, we send out the receipts so you're not following up with that. So I'm glad that that's what we want to be. We want to take that off of your plate.
And that's a good point. The receipts will say something to the effect that, so like if somebody's giving on a credit card and they donated to say 5 organizations, it will say, oh, it's going to Mighty Cause Foundation, correct? But the receipts will have a breakdown as to where that money went.
Okay.
Yes. Yep, and it'll list not only the nonprofit and how much each nonprofit is receiving. It has the nonprofit's address that's listed there, and if it's one donation to if it's a donation to one nonprofit, then that messaging will be there that you created on your receipt within the checkout flow. If there's multiple nonprofits, so let's say I donate to 5 different nonprofits in my cart, then the Earth Gives messaging will be at the very top. We don't include all of the individual messages from each because then it just creates the longest email you've ever seen, and nobody really likes that. But what they will see is when they submit their cart with 5 donations on the thank you page, then all 5 thank you messages will be there. So we do want everyone to have the recognition that they need, but that's how we do it in the email so that it's not overwhelming.
Daniel, you look like you have a question to ask.
That's typically just the way my face looks, just sort of general confusion. But um, yeah, well, I mean, just related to kind of like data or anything about what y'all do, do you have any information sort of post running platform about what type of new support or new donors organizations get after, establishing themselves on this platform?
I don't immediately, but I can get that information and I'll share it with Rhonda.
Okay, that'd be great.
And the
Sure.
the overall sense, Daniel, and I think that's a good question, is we want to get new donors. And to me, and based on my experience and understanding and even Giving Tuesday data, it shows that more people come in when our voice is louder. So the opportunity to have a louder voice and have all of you amplified during a select time brings in more people. Oh, all these other folks are doing it. We want to be part of that too. So that's definitely the intent.
And
And we'll be hosting an event at New York Climate Week after the kickoff. So we're going to be doing an event there. And yes, the key for us is to get different partnerships and other organizations that help amplify what this is for your benefit.
And a big piece of growing those donor numbers, and it's kind of it's not a chicken or egg thing, but it is a little bit of twofold, is there are some nonprofits who will go hard when it comes to the peer-to-peer or getting sponsors in their community. And those, Rhonda, I forgot. We
What?
have group giving pages that I
Oh,
didn't tell
yes.
anybody about.
This is
So,
go get your businesses, your vendors, the small businesses, the coffee shop that
yes.
you guys hang out at. Get them all to create a page. It's free, by the way. All those fundraising pages that she explored, free to sign up, and they can do as many as they'd like.
Yes. So when you're in your community and you're saying, and I'm just the hypothetical bakery down the street, and they say, no, I do agree with what you're doing and I do want to support you. Well, how do we do that? How do we leverage that? Part of that is they could have the fundraiser page. A big piece and a lot to what Rhonda was saying as far as building the community aspect of it is when you have the group giving page on Earth Gives, what it does is it allows anyone who's coming to that page, the the bakery in our example can say, I'm selecting a couple of featured causes. And they have 3 causes in their community that are all on Earth Gives that they want to support. But the great part about that is there's always still the search. So we can search for anyone who's on Earth Gives. The same would be, for example, when we're, I don't think it's going to let me go back. There it is. Okay. The same as once somebody makes that donation and they have that donation in their cart. So we'll do a quick illustration of what that will look like. Where it says add to cart, they always have the option to explore more. And explore more just takes them to the search. And also with that within, I'm sorry, we wanted to go to the cart. If we're viewing the cart, they always have the option to see more nonprofits. Some nonprofits have said, well, then that means they might take some of my donation away and give it to someone else. That's not typically what we see. Typically, what we see is the thing that I never remember of all boats rise when the waters go up, like where we all lift everybody up. And that's a lot more of the idea within these giving events. So with whether it's the group giving page, we're going to see if we can get back there. The group giving page that local community person is doing, or if you're having the sponsors and they're sponsoring a matching grant, then not only are you having them as the sponsor all over all of your stuff, saying to people, hey, the tire shop is sponsoring us, but then also what you're doing is you're saying to them, hey, will you put our logo and this scan this QR code next to your cash register. And it's just that little bit of every time we're out in the community. And then I would recommend, and this is everybody has to work within their strategy, but saying, yeah, you're supporting us, but will you put Earth Gives? Or when you're looking at the Earth Gives search, and we're still building, people are still registering, but if you search by location and you type in, I'm just going to put in just like a general. So we're looking up Wellington, which nobody from Wellington has registered yet. It's a tiny little town right next to me. So when you pull up your area, or if you just search Chicago, you're going to see all the nonprofits that are in your area that are registered. And that's also your opportunity to say, to scroll to the bottom of the page and say, hey, I have your contact information. By the way, we're participating in Earth Gives as well. Do you want to partner? Do you want to do something together? The bakery is going to put my logo and QR code for Earth Gives. You want to get in on this? And they can post both of us. So now you can start that collaboration because you have access to each other. And you've also already agreed we're in this for the same reason. So whether it's actual Earth Gives or it's next May and something is going on, now you're building the community. So that said, the flip side of that is if you only register and you complete your page and you don't tell anybody, nobody's going to come donate because nobody knows. So we have those nonprofits who say, well, why didn't this work? Well, you have to do the marketing too. So we try to help with the marketing as far as when I say Rhonda does amazing things to help you with your marketing. We just got to implement it. So it's my long answer to
Yeah,
your.
so all the nonprofits will get a marketing toolkit. We'll also have a webinar on that, on messaging and storytelling. We'll also have a webinar that will dive deeper on the fundraising tools and just kind of matches and peer-to-peer and what that looks like and how to go about that. So those will be subsequent over the summer. Does anyone else have questions? I know we're we're over time because we meant it to go long for folks to answer questions. Daniel? Or yeah, Doug, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. Ashley, I'm just curious to know what I've just visited the Mighty Cause website, looked around a little bit. I'm just curious to know about the relationship between the for-profit part of Mighty Cause and the foundation. And is Mighty Cause primarily a not-for-profit, or is it a for-profit? Can you explain that to me a little bit? And the context is we have a board meeting coming up. I'm here to get sort of a better sense of the entire landscape here. We'll be talking about this in a board meeting, and I know it'll come up. So
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you asked. So it's twofold. So there's the foundation and there's mightycause.com. The foundation, 501c3 DAF with the IRS, and then mightycause.com, for profit. We're leadership owned. We're not backers and all that kind of stuff. But for the technology side, that is the for-profit portion. What that part is, it really is all the technology. So all the pages that you see, all of the functionality of the pages, that's the mightycause.com part. The Mighty Cause Foundation is the receiver of the donations so that they can then be re-advised, dispersed to the nonprofits. So we work in conjunction with one another, but they're two separate entities in that regard. And the requirements for the DAF, the Mighty Cause Foundation, are the things that say, okay, the IRS says we can only re-advise to certain nonprofits. That's where the 501c3 public charity part comes in.
Mhm.
So there were, as far as processing the donations and re-advising, the foundation is under those guidelines, and that's where we essentially get our rules from, quote unquote. For the for-profit side, typically what we do is we're, again, all the technology side, but we're not for profit in the sense of just get as big and bad as we can. But it's essentially whatever money we're bringing in, we're pouring back in so that we can continue to update and move the product forward. And that's where the different upgrades and that kind of thing come in, which is just kind of what we need. So those are the two parts. There's the technology side is mightycause.com. That's the for profit. And then the Mighty Cause Foundation is essentially how we do the donations and the re-advising.
Yeah, gotcha. So would you characterize Mighty Cause, the for-profit side, formally or informally, as a public benefit corporation, or how do you think of yourselves?
That I don't think I can answer.
Yeah.
Not out of that there's not an
Yeah,
answer.
I mean,
It's
yeah, you want to be very careful there. So I understand that. I'm just trying to get a sense of the philosophy of you and your. I take it that you a principal in the company?
me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Um,
And
sorry.
no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. For additional information there, reach out to our customer support team. I don't mean to just pass that off, but we can get you
Understood.
that information. I would just reach out and say, hey, got a couple questions for my board meeting, and fire away.
Yeah. And I ask these questions because appropriately, there's a high level of suspicion being applied by anybody being asked to feed money into the internet. And so we want to
Rightfully
be,
so.
yeah. So thank
Well,
you.
you
And
do represent skeptical science, so I think that's an
I mean,
appropriate
yeah.
question for you to
And,
ask.
and skepticism is supposed to be productive. It's not just supposed to be tearing things down. So,
Correct.
um, this has been very helpful. I just will quickly say I've got to run. We have a full donor integration stood up already, and our challenge here would be we love the idea of collaborations. We do a lot of collaborations around content to make sure that we get a multiplier effect on the time that people spend and the effort. And for us, I think that it's safe to say the central appeal here is the idea of doing collaborative fundraising, and we'll be thinking about how to make this work without accidentally replicating our donor relations management system. You know, that for us will be the problem. So Ashley, thank you so much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Rhonda, I'm going to run along now, and thank you all very much for the time.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? I know we're kind of gearing up, but you can reach out at any time and get in touch with us. We will send out this recording. And I'm excited to welcome you to the platform and help us boost that 2% of fundraising going to the work that you do. It's so important. And Ashley, thank you so much for walking us through.
Oh, my pleasure. So glad to be here.
Thank
Take
you
care,
all
everyone.
so very much.
Yep. Thank you very much.
This is
Thanks.
great.